What's going on today, people? I don't know how I'm gonna do this here. I really put myself on the spot, but there's a now we can talk about other things on this channel. You can talk about anything you want. This channel is just not going to. It's not just for religious purposes or whatever. But see, I'm not a. I want to say first and foremost, I'm not a religious person. There's a lot of things that I believe in an all powerful Creator. I believe in. I believe in the one that created the atmosphere, which is what they call the heavens, and I believe in the one that created the grounds, the light, and the sun and the moon, the air, and all of that. But that they have up on the wall. You see what I'm saying? Not this fake European God that causes us to struggle in our everyday life, and no matter what the white man do to us, we sit up here and we uh no matter what the white man do, we supposed to love our enemies. No, I'm not talking about that old ship of Zion, that slave ship that they of this white Jesus that they said they talk about when the roses call of young Ivy, that white Jesus, you know what I mean? But things of that nature. But I'm not into that. But for me here, a lesson. And this lesson here, and I totally agree with this here. The controversy begins. So when did a controversy begin? That's the question. Conflicts. Now I'm fixing to read something on page one. Well, I'm gonna call it page one. It got two. Conflict seems invisible. Invisible. In fact, conflict is one of the central themes of Scripture. As we saw in lesson two, the theme of the book of Daniel, as demonstrated in the events of ancient Babylon, is this same cosmetic struggle between between the God of heaven and the power of evil. The book of Daniel begins with Nebuchadnezzar seemed defeated of the true God, but ends with a tremendous victory. It ends with a tremendous victory for the God of heaven. Nebuchadnezzar is shown again and again that God is still in control of human events. Remember that the focal point of the book of Daniel is the time of the end. Therefore, the event stories, conflicts in the book of Daniel are to have an impact on us who are living in these last days. There are two issues over which controversy arises in the book of Daniel. Over which controversy arises in the book of Daniel. These issues are the issues of worship and obedience. That's the key word, y'all. Worship and obedience. Now we know that we have a lot of denominations that is in conflict with each other today. We have a lot of denominations that each one of them is at odds with each other. You see what I'm saying? All of them are battling over which one is right, which one is true. You know what I mean? And we just don't, we have been lied to, man. These are the issues of worship and obedience. That's the issue. Those are the issues, worship and obedience. Over what type of worship? Because we know that every denomination worships differently. Everybody don't have, it's just like saying everybody don't have the same thought process. Everybody not agreeing on the same thing. You see what I'm saying? Uh, these are the issues over which controversy arise in the book of Daniel. These are the issues of worship and obedience. We will see them illustrated very clearly in the historical. Hold on. in the historical portions of Daniel, these same issues will reappear in the prophetic sections of Daniel, indicating they are to be a major issue in the final conflict. Now it says these same issues will reappear in the prophetic section. That means that it's something that uh, prophetic is something that predicts that foretell the future. That's the future. That's a future event. And historical are things that happened in the past, supposedly. Okay. These same issues will reappear in the prophetic section of Daniel, indicating they are to be a major issue in the final conflict. I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna put all this in. I'm not gonna read all of this here, and I'm not gonna put all of this on video. I'm just gonna put. I just put some of the reading, but I'm putting videos up over here too because I don't hardly put none up over here. Now, someday when I can actually grow this channel, I had promised myself that I was going to put more, but I also promised myself that I was going to do a lot more reading and I was going to try to just spend more time just trying to find out information and discover what's true. You know what I mean? But we are having conflicts over righteousness and over unrighteousness, ungodly, you know. Uh, the specific instance in the book of Daniel where the issues of worship and obedience illustrate the great controversy theme. That's Daniel 1:8, Daniel 3:10, and Daniel chapter 4, verses 25, and Daniel chapter 5, verse 23, and Daniel chapter 6:11. See, Daniel, okay, I'm getting it now. The conflict. Now we're dealing with the conflict, right? I tell you what, let me get my Bible and we're going to discover, use this very book to show you a difference. Remember, we talked about the issue is over the controversy. When you think of controversy, controversy deals with a battle. Controversy. Okay. And where the conflict lie? What is the issue? What is the whole issue of this here? This is lesson 3. I think it is. Yeah, hold on, wait a minute. Anybody have any comments? Put them in the comment. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section. This is lesson 3. I was right in my mind. I just wanted to make sure I said it right. The main issues that the issue, the real issue is over obedience, worship, and obedience. That's it. Worship is one thing. What does worship mean? Anybody know what worship means? It means you're paying homage to something. You're giving honor to it. You're giving respect to it. You are you're praising it for what it is. You adore it. You see what I'm saying? You adore it. You cherish it. All those things has to deal with worship. Okay. Now, we know that we're living in a world today to where people worship differently. Everybody is different on different things. It would be just like if I'm gonna get off into the want to break it down. a little bit more to the best of my ability. I can love chocolate. Somebody else can come along and they can love something else. Somebody else can respect my movement and another person not respect my movement. You may like gospel more than me. I may like to do it my style. You see what I'm saying? So those things cause issues and conflicts, right? If you have one person that their mind is like for take instance for we know that the majority of the world, I'm assuming the majority of the world is going after unrighteousness and godliness, and all of those things causing conflicts, right? You have the majority of the world that is worshiping on the first day of the week, which is the sun god, right? You have some people that worship on Saturday. And you know what I mean? And that is the conflict. It's called worship versus obedience. We live in a system today to where everybody has different put put their opinions is opinionated. Everybody is opinionated about different things. Opinion means what a person thinks. Opinion means your own thought, your own ideas, your own ideas, your own thoughts. So we're going to go. Let's get. Let me go to since I really didn't intend to make all these religious channels or name all these religious channels, but let me go and define because we have a lot to go into, and I'm just going to take my time and politely just go through them because all through this Bible there's a difference. We have a conflict here. So we're going to go to Daniel 1. Daniel chapter 1 and verse 8. Let's read verse 8. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he may not defile himself. Defile simply means that you are putting sacrifices. When you think of defile, you would think of putting things in your system that is against you. You're thinking of things that is against nature. You're thinking of things that is against right doing. You see what I'm saying? You're defiling. You're defiled. You have been doing wrong. You have been doing, you know what I mean? You think of all those things. Now let's look at Daniel 1 and Daniel chapter 1, verse 1. In the third year of the reign of King Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, unto his hand with the part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God. Now notice, to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels of the treasures of the house of his God. Now that means, remember now, Proverbs, now we want to go to the, it says, trust not in thy own heart. Trust not in thy own heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. Now notice look, all right, that's something that I'm trying to make a parallel. And the king spake unto I don't even know how to say it. I don't even know y'all. Ashpenazar, the master of his eunuchs, that he that he should bring the certain of the children of Israel, of the king's seeds, of the king's seed, and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish. That means perfect. Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and in cunning and in all knowledge and understanding, sciences, such as had had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning in the tongue of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank. So nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. It didn't say stand before. This was a conflict, and all of this geared up to toward this was a story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And according to this Bible, they was loyal men to the worship of the Most High, and they refused to bow down to the image of all these other nations and gods, these kings. They refused to worship any other king except the Most High, the one that supposedly created the heavens and the earth, that provided the air, just like I was saying earlier in the beginning of this video. So, what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna spend very much time on it, but right here, in verse 9, Daniel said, "Now Daniel had brought Daniel in unto tender favor, tender with, I'm sorry, now God had brought Daniel unto favor and tender love with the princes of the eunuchs. And the princes of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who and the princes of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who had appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your face worse linked than the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me in danger, my my hand, my my head to the king. I mean my hand to the king, to Mishael, Mishael, hold on, Mizar, whom the princes of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, and Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. That means Azariah, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Azariah was Abednego. Prove thy servants, I beseech thee. Now notice it said right here, and the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who had appointed unto your meat and your, he didn't say I fear, okay, I fear my lord the king, who had appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your face, whose worse link than the children which are the sort of your sort? Then shall ye make me in danger, my hand to the king. Then said Daniel to Mizariah, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servant, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Pulse means vegetables. That's what it meant. So then it says, let our countenance be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat. And as thou seest, deal with thy servant. Consecrated. So he consecrated to them this master and proved them 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer, their countenance appeared fairer and fatter and flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. Now, check this out. Here's what was going on. Let me turn my camera on for this one here. Yeah, I had to turn my camera on for that one. Now, the ones that was more healthier, the ones that was more healthier, yeah, the ones that was, hold on, wait a minute. The ones that was more healthier were Azariah, Mishael, Azariah, and Abednego. Though that means Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They appear to be more healthier than they appear to be more healthier than all of the rest of the other kings in there. That, you know, all of those that at the king's meet. Daniel, Meshach, and Azariah and Abednego. Those were the four ones. Daniel and the three Hebrew boys and Daniel. All of these ate the king's vegetables. But the rest of them chose to eat the king's meat. The king was not God at all. So the king represents the government. The rest of them bowed down to the government. But Daniel and the three Hebrew boys didn't refuse to do it. Daniel and the three Hebrew boys refused to do that. And look what it says. As for these, their children, God gave them not. Okay, wait a minute. And okay, now I think it was Daniel that said that. Then said Daniel to Mizraim, Zar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Prove thy servant, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. They was talking about Daniel and Meshach and Azariah and Abednego. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those were the names. The Azariah and Mishael and Azariah and Abednego were those were their names before they was given Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And Daniel. That's why he says, prove thy servants 10 days. Because see, they wanted to eat the portion of the king's meat. Now, this all of this goes all the way back to the conflict. And this is based upon the conflict, right? So we having conflict. That, remember what I told you, what I read. We're dealing with obedience. The issue was obedience versus worship. Obedience versus worship. Obedience dealt with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Daniel. Those were the four people that turned out to be more healthier than all of the rest of them that lived in the king's palace and wanted to be more like the government. Everybody wanted to be like the world. And notice the people. Do you notice now? Let me ask y'all this here. Notice you live longer when you don't identify yourself with a fast lifestyle. You even look better because right over here, it says, prove thy servant, I beseech thee, 10 days. Let them give us pulse to eat. Pulse is vegetables. That's what it is. Pulse is vegetables to eat and water to drink. Let our countenance be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, as thou seest, deal with thy servant. So he consecrated to them in this matter, and proved them 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer. Let me spell that. Fair. F-A-I-R-E-R. Fairer. Just in case it sounded like people like, what is he saying? What is that? So that's F-A-I-R-E-R. Fairer. Fairer. Their countenance appeared fairer and fatter. That means they was more healthier. Fatter means they was more healthier. And flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat, or the government's meat, or the white supremacist meat. You notice how white supremacists pause in the food. There's a lot of people saying, now, wait a minute, hold it now. You losing me there now. Why aren't you bringing white supremacy into this here? Because it has a lot to do with Roman Catholic worship. When you think of the Roman Catholic Church, what do you think of? We're going to get into a lot of stuff, people. All right, let me go on. Thus, Melzar took away the portion of their meat. Miser took away the portion of their meat and the wine that they should drink, and gave them pulse. They gave them pulse. What is pulse? But once again, vegetables. Just look it up. Google it up. And I guarantee you it's going to be vegetables. It's vegetables, herbs. And they gave, and Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys and Daniel asked for vegetables, and they asked for pure water. As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill and all learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. He was gifted. What does Daniel mean? Before I even go there, I'm gonna let the cat out the bag. It's supposed to be, all of that's supposed to mean God is my judge. Now, at the end of the 10 days that the king had said, he should bring them in, and then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar stands for the government of Yah. Now, and the king communed with them, and amongst them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king. And in all matters of wisdom and in understanding, and that the king required of them, he found them 10 times better than all of the magicians and the astrologers that was in all his realm. And Daniel continued even unto the first year of King of Cyrus. Cyrus, that was a kingdom. I think that kingdom ruled in the year gonna come to me. Cyrus was the king of Persia, I think. This is when Cyrus was the one, I think, that destroyed the kingdom of Babylon, I believe. I think he was about 32 years old. Now, let me read this here piece from the back. You see, I got some stuff marked. All right. Daniel chapter 5. Okay, yeah, I remember we talked about the all right, let me turn the camera off because I don't like how I'm sitting and I don't all right. All right. Let me say this. Daniel chapter 1, okay, 1 verse 8. I read that. Daniel chapter 3 and 10. Okay, let's look at 3 and 10. Then, O king, thou, O king, has made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the court, flute, the harp, the sackbut, psaltery, and the crema, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. You see what I'm saying? Fall down and worship the golden image, not fall down and worship the all powerful that created the light, the air. No, fall down and worship the one that has the golden image. Thou, O king, has made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the flute, harp, the sackbut, psaltery, and the clemmer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. Now, it was only four people that stood, four of them: Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Everybody else bowed down to this graven image, except for the three Hebrew boys and Daniel. Daniel stood firm. Now, okay. I think I read 10 already. We established Daniel chapter 1, verse 8. Let's go to Daniel 1:8. Let's see what Daniel did. Let's see the type of mindset that we should have, not worshiping these white Jesus images. Daniel chapter 1, verse 8. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Notice it said, but Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not, N-O-T, not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore, he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he may not defile himself. Okay, when it says Daniel purpose, that means Daniel made up in his mind. He made up in his mind that he was not going to bow down to the seal of the beast, the seal of the government man. He made up in his mind that he was not going to do that. The reason why it's kind of easy for me to kind of elaborate on stuff like this, it kind of helps me a little bit because I read this stuff in the past. You see what I'm saying? Way before internet, way before all of that. You know what I mean? So Daniel chapter 1 and 8. Now, if you look at this lesson from the outside, if you look at this lesson from let's see here, from the outside, what does it say? The controversy begins. It says controversy began. Okay, no. Throughout the historical portions of the book of Daniel, we see how Daniel's obedience to God and worship of God is constantly threatened. The issue is clear in the book of Daniel. Governments may try to impose legislation. Didn't I just say that? That's bowing down to the government. That inhabits are prohibited the worship of God or demand false worship. Only those who remain true and faithful to God will be delivered. Remember that the focal point of the book of Daniel is the end time. The prophecy of Daniel pointed to the last days when these issues will arise again. People in the end time will attempt to inhibit, inhibit or prohibit true worship and impose false worship. The book of Daniel tells us clearly that God will have a victorious people who will overcome all these attempts to cause them to disobey or to pervert the worship of God. The book of Daniel is worship and obedience. The issue in the last days will be worship and obedience. How important it is that each of us remain faithful to God. How do the how do the prophecy of Daniel foretell the issue of worship and obedience? Daniel 7:25. Verse Daniel 7:25 said, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and think to change times and laws. Note, here, here in the prophecy, we see the issue of worship illustrated in the little horn power of Daniel 7 as as speak great words against the Most High. We see the issue of obedience. Okay, now there's a heavy issue here. This is getting a little deeper. Now this is dealing with we're gonna find out what the little horn power is. The little horn power is identified as as pagan Rome, because see, this deals with the power of uh, of the ancient Rome, the ancient power. So I read one page, and let's see here, maybe it says no. Here in the prophecy, we see the issue of worship and illustrating in the little horn power in Daniel 7, as he speak great words against the Most High. Who is the Most High? Now think about that. In Daniel 7:25, say he will speak great words. Great. Now notice he said not good words, but great words. Pay attention to that. Not good words, but great. And think about, let me sum it up by putting it into, let's see here. Revelation 17 verses 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. That goes into that system of Roman Catholic, of Roman Catholicism. So when you think of, but now notice, it said he shall speak great words against the Most High. That means that you cannot go by what people say. I don't care how good they sound. Vincent, it may sound. It ain't good at all. As he thinks to change the times and the laws, the book of Daniel is concerned with these vital issues. Daniel's captivity. The controversy began in Daniel with the captivity of Daniel. and his friends by Nebuchadnezzar. In this first chapter, we will study the amazing story of how a young man and his friends faced some very severe tests, which were infiltrated by a depositor, let's see it, depository, a despoted, I'm sorry, this is a tough word here, infiltrated by a deposit, uh, despoted. That's what it is. I think it's despoted. I'm gonna have to look up that word, y'all. We will also note the implication that these tests have for the rest of the book of Daniel. The test describes in chapter 1 seems very very mid, and comparison to much greater tests to come later in the book. Yeah, in the book. But the lesson of chapter 1 is that only those who pass minor tests will ever pass the major tests. How important how important then that we be faithful to God at all times. Look, people, I'm not going to read no more of this stuff. The rest of it, I think I'll read off camera because I ain't going to be uploading all this stuff, putting it on no camera. That's why I say I just have these religious channels. Whoever want to watch these videos, they can. Whoever don't, they don't have to. Because there's so much, man, been messed up in this Bible. And we suck it up. So I'm going to read the rest of this stuff off camera. And I'm not going to sit up here and just put all that stuff, just the main little things I say, you know what I'm saying? Hold on, let me get this here right here. So let me turn my camera on. Turn it back on for a change. So I'm going to see y'all later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Peace and black love. Peace and black power. I'm out.